Hello, ladies and gentlemen. No, I'm not Penny Bright. I'm Vinny Eastwood from the VinnyEastwoodShow.com, and I've been basically one of Penny's many eclectic helpers over the years. When you're an activist like Penny, there's a lot of things you can do that other people can't, and there's a lot of things you can't do that other people can. And I'm one of the people who does a number of things along the lines of radio broadcasting and that sort of a business. Now, the question on a lot of people's minds tonight is, why don't you pay your rates, Penny? Now, to somebody who actually knows about the subject material as intimately, essentially, as I do, there's a lot of things that you've got to be aware of. Chief among them is this right here. Did you know the council breaks this law every time they charge you for your rates? That is why Penny Bright is disputing and refusing to pay hers until they open the books. This is the record-keeping requirements section of the Public Records Act 2005. So this has been an enforceable law for 12 years. Have they been following it for those 12 years? No, they haven't been following the law. And the question is, like, let's say Penny doesn't pay her rates. What are the consequences for that? Oh, there's got to be consequences if you don't do your responsibilities, right? But what consequences are there for the council if they don't fulfill their end of the deal? The word must appears many, many, many times under the council's obligations within the legislative framework. The word must only appears 3 times on the citizens' end of the bargain. So let's think about this very, very carefully and clearly as we go through tonight. Now, there is quite possibly Penny Bright being on Radio Live, calling in as we speak. So what we're going to do, we've got a whole schedule planned out for you here. We're going to do a little bit of listening to the live radio, hopefully to catch Penny live here. We have the recording of Penny Bright at the council meeting yesterday, approximately a 26-minute recording. Until midnight tonight, ladies and gentlemen, she is holding the Give a Little page right over here until midnight tonight. I had the foolish idea that maybe I'd do this as sort of like a 4-hour marathon or something like that to try and get the remaining money in. Since I started helping share this and get Penny's videos uploaded that were taken off her just maybe a weekend ago or something like that, it's gone up from 7,000 to 14,000 within the last 24 hours that I've been working on this. So hopefully within the next 4 hours, as we're live streaming, many of you will click the link in the live stream thing there and give very, very generously to Penny. And I want to tell you why. This is going to save you money in the long run. The biggest cost in any administrative structure, as anybody who knows what they're talking about would tell you, is in fact corruption. Think about it. It's not steel, it's not paper, it's not computers, it's corruption. You need to bribe certain people to do certain things. Organised crime, make no mistake, ladies and gentlemen, has taken over Auckland. It has taken over this country too, but Auckland to an even greater extent than one could even possibly imagine. So what we're talking about here in Penny Bright's story is one woman whom, against $1 billion council industry, has stood up against them and tried to hold them to account. She's inspired many, many people, including myself, to be better people because of this, because of the stand that she takes, because it is the strength of the human spirit. And you'll see this later tonight when we play the clips of Penny Bright speaking to the council rather furiously. In fact, if there was a way that Penny spoke, and predominantly it would be furiously, but the thing that we've got to understand here is that she's not just taking a stand on her own for herself, she's actually standing for all of us. And I feel a certain sense of moral obligation, for lack of a better word, to stand up behind her. And that's why I'm doing this live cast on her page that I set up many years ago when she was running for mayor and that kind of thing. Whew! Getting a bit shaky because it's been a lot of years, and I normally go to bed at like 7:30 and get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and start working, so the computer's not a friend to me at night. Let us calm down, Vinny. Alright, so let's see what's happening with that Radio live stream, shall we? Next we're moving on. We're going to keep it very, very low in the background there. So just in case Penny does pop up, we're going to be able to catch her live. Now, Penny, when you are on the... Oh, she's in the chat room here, which is good. Penny, so when you're on the air, just make sure to just type it into the chat room. It's got maybe a 30-second delay or something, and I'll be able to put it up. So let me know if you're on Radio Live or ZB or something like that. So, yeah, Penny's watching the live stream as we are, in fact, doing the business here. So, what was it? There was an article that I put here, and I think it was the one that I wrote to help Penny. Here we are. Okay, anti-corruption campaigner Penny Bright needs your help now. Now, ever since I first became a media activist, Penny Bright was there doing the research, sending the Official Information Act requests to corrupt government agencies, protesting white-collar crime and campaigning for transparency across Auckland, New Zealand and around the world. So when I first heard that Auckland Council, without any legal justification, want to steal Penny's house for themselves, the thought that occurred to me was, good luck. Because those corrupt bastards clearly don't know who they're dealing with. She's fierce, a perennial stalwart of this nation's democracy and activism, but this time she cannot fight off the wolves by herself, and she needs our help. In a nutshell, Penny's been disputing and refusing to pay her rates for a decade. Why? Because the council must tell ratepayers what they spend your rates monies on. They've refused to open the books. They have secret meetings in private offices and have been steadily increasing the costs of Aucklanders' rates with no accountability. Potentially billions worth of Aucklanders' money and assets can easily be stolen by private contractors with zero checks or balances to stop them. Penny has exposed this corrupt practice every step of the way, even before the Super City scam, which I believe in a major poll maybe like 87% of Aucklanders were against the forced amalgamation of all our separate cities and councils with all our separate mayors and representatives that we were able to know. And now it's been overly simplified and centralised and bureaucratised. And in come the contractors to steal everything while nobody's looking anymore, because they can't. Penny has exposed this corrupt practice every step of the way, and she's become an embarrassment to the cabal of corrupt bureaucrats and criminals that truly run this town. Now, as one might expect, they're willing to break the law in order to get back at her. Defamation, harassment, and now the very real threat of literally stealing her home out from under her in order to recoup rates they've yet to steal. The plan is to raise $20,000 and keep it in an escrow account with Penny's solicitor. So even if they do manage to sell Penny's home, she can simply continue to dispute and refuse to pay the rates until they open the books, as they're legally required to do. Then, as Penny would say, we've got them in a pincer. So please give generously. This case will affect every Auckland homeowner one way or the other. Now, maybe that sounds like, it'll affect every homeowner, just Penny losing her house to these corrupt crats. That's not going to affect me, really. if you're paying rates, have you noticed that they've been increasing? Yeah? You have, haven't you? If you're paying rent, see, this is, yeah, there you go. It's going to affect you who are renting too, because he who pays the rates has to kick it on to the renters, doesn't it? At least in some way, shape or form. Not to mention there's all the red tape that's suddenly coming out and springing up out of nowhere, so that a whole bunch of people can clip the ticket right along every step of the way. And this is not something that people are going to get to stop unless they take a stand. And so again, I remind people, this is the last chance that you've got to help out Penny Bright. And there's give a little link here right on the live video stream here. And I want you to click that, and I want you to give very, very generously, please. That would be very, very nice right about now, because midnight tonight, that's in about 4 hours' time, is the last chance that you've got to save Penny Bright's house. Now that means if she's got that money, we're not just going to give the council the money. And I say we, there's nothing to do with me. It's all Penny's problem. I'm just helping. Now, she's going to put that money in an escrow account. Okay? I can't take your house if you say, no, I've got the money for you here. You know, all I want is one thing. You to follow the law and tell me who these private contractors are that you're increasing our rates for. Who are these people who are selling out these contracts, though? I mean, is it public tender or is it private? Is it a secret agreement? What is the term of the contract? How long does it last? What is the scope of it? What's it going to affect? These basic, one might think, simple analytics that would be capable of informing citizens about where their rates monies are going do not currently exist. Not fully. And in fact, they didn't used to exist at all until Penny took a stand. Alright? She's forced them, in many, many cases, to reveal devilish details like these. Who are these people connected to? Is there a criminal mafia that's using shell companies as a means of extorting money from people using the council as a proxy? They're using the council to forcibly extract money from people using unjustifiable rates increases. Alright? And people have been feeling that. And they've been feeling that a lot of what they're saying and what they want to be done with the city ain't being done. A lot of people are saying that many, many bike lanes and things of this nature are coming up, and you're noticing that traffic is becoming much more congested as a result, even though you have never in your life seen a cyclist in a cycle lane. This is a deliberate agenda, ladies and gentlemen, and they want everything, starting with Penny Bright's house. And once they get it, the rest of us are next. So if you don't want that to happen, click this little donate now button, give a couple of bucks to Penny. I mean, what was interesting I found about it is that the majority of the donations there tended to be quite numerous. And it seems to be growing. A couple of $100 in the last hour or so. Now, there is also this petition here, as put up by Lisa Eyre, and I wanted to also get people to understand that this isn't just a recent phenomenon. This is a thing that most people who are in politics don't have. It's called a track record. Okay? If you go to this link here on the VinnyEastwoodShow.com, just search Penny Bright Vinny Eastwood, and you should be able to see this anti-corruption campaigner Penny Bright needs your help now article. And within there is a 101 video playlist of Penny Bright on my YouTube channel. This is how many times I've been making videos of Penny coming to all sorts of marches. She provided critical research on John Key's Real Past Exposed in 10 Minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, you may remember Graham McCready privately prosecuting John Key. Half of the reason why he was even able to do that was because of Penny Bright helping him with the paperwork so they could expose him and take him out. Now, enough of that. I want to move on, ladies and gentlemen, to this puppy right here. And I want to, this might be reiterating for some of you who are here from the start. Did you know the council breaks this law every time they charge you for your rates? That is why Penny Bright is disputing and refusing to pay hers until they open the books. So here we are. Public record keeping requirements. Every public office and local authority must create and maintain full and accurate records of its affairs, in accordance with normal prudent business practice, including the records of any matter that is contracted out to an independent contractor. Every public office must maintain in an accessible form so as to be able to be used for subsequent reference all public records that are in its control until their disposal is authorised by or under this Act or required by another Act. And 3, every local authority must maintain in an accessible form so as to be able to be used for subsequent reference all protected records that are in its control until their disposal is authorised by or under this Act. Clear as crystal. You got to keep records on everything that you're doing. You ever been to a business meeting with a council meeting and there wasn't somebody there writing down or something like that? That's illegal. You ever made a business deal with anybody like that and you didn't actually disclose that to the public that you made a business deal with the council already? That's illegal. It's a very, very serious crime to cover up the procurement of contractors. In Australia, they have a independent commission against corruption of some fashion, and they have determined that corruption is indeed the number one reason in local government for their interest. All right? That's where all the corruption is. It's in the local government, it's in the contracting, it's in the procurement. There are gold billion-dollar frickin' deals in those places made. Because they don't have to earn anything they've got. You've got to pay your rent, you've got to pay your rates, you've got to pay the mortgage, whatever it is. And they don't. They can just make it up. And if you think I'm making that up, remember, council promised that they would not increase rates beyond the rate of inflation. What they did not tell you is that they could make up their own rate of inflation. I will say that again. The council promised that they wouldn't increase your rates above the rate of inflation, but they didn't tell you that under their bookkeeping, they're allowed to make up their own rate of inflation. It's clear as crystal. Now, the media coverage over Penny Bright has been quite swelling within the last few days. So I did want to get to a number of these things for you and see if we can indeed play some of those things on here. But we're just going to check the radio live stream because apparently Penny's calling in.
A couple of other songs from the album Hunting High and Low. What did they have? The Sun Always Shines on TV was one. And they came up a little later on.
Apparently not. So, just let me know as well in the chat room, ladies and gentlemen, please share the link for this because we've got to get Penny Bright another, what was it, about $7,000 in about the next 4 hours. So I want you to grab this link and I want you to get it out there, ladies and gentlemen, as quickly as you can. Now, where were we? We were onto this news story here that we wanted to play and see what kind of coverage old Penny has been getting here.
Penny Bright has long rallied against Auckland Council. Now she's preparing for a new battle, one that's more personal.
It's suspected ovarian cancer.
The long-time activist has been admitted to Auckland Hospital for tests just as her house goes up for mortgagee sale.
What have I done to deserve this?
And also, that's a misstatement there. It's not a mortgagee sale because she doesn't have a mortgage. It's a freehold home. It's a rating sale in order to extract the rates.
Been trying to do is get the council to comply with the law so we know where our rates monies are being spent.
Auckland Council has instructed the High Court to put 86A School Road on the market to recover Penny Bright's unpaid rates bill.
You can expect that it's a figure in excess of $35,000.
Matthew Walker's the Chief Financial Officer at Auckland Council and says this type of action has happened just once before in the Super City's 7-year history.
We certainly hope that we can settle Ms Bright's rates account ahead of any sale of her property.
Built in 1988, the weatherboard exterior with an iron roof has 3 bedrooms and 1 bathroom and a rateable value of well over $1 million.
The campaign headquarters for me to try and save my home is now Room 1, Ward 97, Gynecology, Auckland Hospital.
Penny Bright has a meeting with Auckland Council tomorrow where she plans to ask for compassion and for the council to pause the sale of her house.
New Zealand land with a fair go? Where's that?
A solution has to be found by 4 o'clock on Tuesday, otherwise the house will be sold and Penny Bright will need to find somewhere else to live. Ryan Boswell, One News. Penny Bright has long rallied against...
Oh, how do we get out of this, puppy? Here we go. Very nice. Okay. Oh, thank you very much, Medi Keating. Hello. Dylan, Penny, and LJ. Thank you very much for joining me. Now, I want to get rid of that that live stream over there because that's just frickin' annoying, isn't it? It's very difficult to concentrate with that stuff going. Okay, so let's hear from Penny. This was recorded, I think, maybe 20th of April. Yeah, earlier today.
You're not happy about it? Okay. So, yeah, I'm sorry about this. Okay, well, first of all, I'll just give you an update with my health, so you know. I haven't felt right for months. Had a couple of blood tests and didn't pick up anything. I went down for a 50th year college reunion in the Wairarapa on the weekend. I stayed with my sister Thursday night in Upper Hutt. On the morning of Black Friday, as it happens, I got acute abdominal pain, had some pain relief, and then, but obviously something was really not right, and I was advised to go to emergency department. And I discovered Hutt Hospital. I didn't even know there was a Hutt Hospital, and they were marvellous. So I went in there from 4 o'clock on Friday, and basically I've been pretty much in hospital the last 6 days. I had a series of tests in Hutt Hospital, and bottom line is that they said that I needed to get an urgent referral from my GP and that I needed to get further tests done urgently. So on Monday morning I went and saw my GP, got a referral, and then I just presented myself with my paperwork from Hutt Hospital, my paperwork from my GP at the emergency department of Auckland Hospital, and a little bit of a wait, but yeah, I ended up in Ward 97, which is gynecology. So the short version is that I had about 5 litres of fluid drain from my stomach. Quick way to lose 5 kilos, I can say. I completely recommend it. But anyway, and they have taken a biopsy. Now, the biopsy results and the medical plan will not be known for 1 to 2 weeks. So at the moment, I have 2 big guillotines over my head. I have my health, and I have my house. And so anyway, that's the medical situation. I'm back home for the time being, because there's nothing the hospital can really do unless my stomach starts getting more fluid, or if I get more pain or whatever, then I can go straight back into hospital. But so that's where we're at. So 1 to 2 weeks, I'm waiting for the diagnosis. It's suspected ovarian cancer.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, so that's what Penny's going through at the moment. Suspected ovarian cancer. Not something you want to discover right when your house is being sold by council. I don't know about anyone else, but it's hard to hear. Yeah, sorry about that. I'm playing these recordings through the microphone here, so we've got a much lower microphone. In fact, can you even hear me that well? That's a good question. So let me know in the chat if you can frickin' hear me. That'd be lovely, because I'm just a little bit, I don't know, I'm a bit tired. Been working, trying to spread this stuff around all day. I try to make sure that Penny's got some people trying to help her. In fact, what we'll do is we'll leave it there. That's about 26 minutes into it. So what you know from this live cast, and don't worry, I'll go live on my personal Facebook in just a minute to follow this up. Okay, yeah, so man, there's a very, very, very long delay. It's like maybe, I don't know, 30 seconds, 40 seconds, so you're like on a completely different subject as soon as somebody says, oh no, we can hear you fine. Alright guys, but yeah, just give it a little donation in there to the Give a Little page. And if you go to Vinny Eastwood, my youtube.com, facebook.com / Vincent Eastwood, I'll be going live on that to continue this possibly up until midnight when the donations thing closes up, folks. So thank you very much, and that's been the broadcast for today. Thank you very much. Hi folks. Whew. Welcome. Got a bit of coffee, got a bit of water, and the idea tonight is to try and help raise the rest of the money for Penny Bright. Which, now, those of you who don't know who Penny Bright is, let's just show you. This is a graphic that I made for her mayoral campaign a few years ago. She helped to stop the Wellington Super City in its tracks. Those of you who don't remember, this whole thing called the Business Roundtable essentially ran Auckland like a business for business, and they did this little co-opted scheme rip-offy thingy, and they convinced everybody that, hey, if you had bugger all accountability and bugger all local representatives, it would make everything a lot more cost effective, and then everybody would benefit and such and blah blah blah. Turned out not to be the case. In fact, now people are being charged more rates than ever, rents are higher than ever, and homelessness is exploding across the board. But of course this is due to a range of factors. The way that Auckland is being run is just one major contributing factor to the terrible realities of our time. Now folks, I have a visitor who's gonna come shortly, and while they're here, we're just going to be playing you the recording of what Penny Bright was saying to the council this morning. and essentially she's been suffering a terrible amount of illness. She's had 5 litres of fluid drained from her stomach, ladies and gentlemen. She is not well at all, and the council is trying to sell her house right now, and midnight tonight is the cut-off point. This is the anti-corruption campaigner Penny Bright. I want you to go to this link here, and I want you to donate on the page. And in the meantime, ladies and gentlemen, I'll just be out for a few ticks, and we will listen to the rest of Penny Bright's recording that she did later on, a little while ago, earlier this morning. Okay, so let's try and get that very, very close to the speaker for you.
You know that we've offered the postponement before.
Yes.
You know, if
Now, you won't be able to hear the council lady's side very well, but you
Bottom
should
line
be able
is,
to
I'll be really
hear
blunt
Penny.
here, is that
Just let us know
what I
in the
believe
chat
that I've
if
been
you can
through
hear
with
Penny all
Auckland
right.
Council
And I'm
is,
just going to full screen this one.
is basically
I'll be back
draconian
in 2
bullying
ticks, ladies and
to
gentlemen.
force me into rates postponement. I made a genuine good faith offer on the 26th of
Make sure you please donate,
January
ladies and gentlemen.
in terms of how to resolve this.
We'll be back in
And
just a
that
few minutes.
Kelly, at the last meeting, I mean, you acknowledged the work for my advocacy and transparency, and as you know, back in 2010, I got a Good Citizen Award while I was still disputing and refusing to pay rates for the same issue. Now, in terms of some changed situation here, there's a lot of public interest in this, you know that. I've got a Give a Little page, which last time I looked has $13,500. What I'm seeking by 12 o'clock tonight is to have the $20,000 for outstanding rates sitting in escrow in a solicitor's account, and bottom line is that money, because it's part of the Give a Little deal, they need to have a cut-off date, but by the 20th of April next year, that $20,000 will be paid. It will be paid in full. In the meantime, the offer that I made still stands, which is to work with Auckland Council to finish the job and opening the books. That's my position on that one. But the other point I would like to make is that I now have information that I didn't have before. Regarding, as it were, due process. What happened was I applied to Auckland Council a Lagoima request, and I got a reply on the 29th of March, and the covering Lagoima reply, and this was regarding information regarding written off residential and commercial rates and forced rating sale proceedings. And what it stated when I asked question 2, can you please confirm the mechanisms available to Auckland Council to secure outstanding rates debts apart from forced rating sales of freehold properties? And was told the following options are available to recover outstanding rates debts. Postponements arrangements can be entered into with ratepayers who fall within the policy on postponement. Where judgment has been obtained, charging orders will be imposed on a title. This is a step prior to a rating sale. That's what the Lagoima
You've
replied.
already been through this, James. Has already responded to you. You don't have to have a charging order.
No, Kelly, there's 2 separate things here. Under the Local Government Rating Act, true, you don't have to have a charging order, but under the Auckland Council Rating Sale Policy, and the reason for that policy was specifically set up in order to make sure there were clear rules, and let me read you the Executive Summary Rating Sale Policy, file number CP 2013-01403. Executive Summary Point 5, a rating sales policy has been developed, attached to ensure that there are clear rules regarding rating sales. The policy contains safeguards to ensure that rating sales are undertaken only when necessary, so that ratepayers with genuine payment issues are given every opportunity to address them.
Yeah.
So, let me finish. And section 14, it states very clearly, the rating sale process is outlined by the following steps. 1. Legal proceedings are initiated and a court judgment issued with a charging order registered on title documents against the property. And it says, rating sales policy at point 16, the power to enforce a rating sale comes with significant responsibility to ensure the power is not used inappropriately. A policy on rating sales has therefore been developed to ensure that there are clear rules regarding rating sales. The policy contains safeguards to ensure that rating sales are undertaken only when necessary, so that ratepayers with genuine payment issues are given every opportunity to address them. And of course the minutes where this was passed was on the 7th of March 2013, and that was when that was passed, and the key points of the policy being stated. This is Strategy and Finance Committee meeting of the 7th of March 2013. Point 17, the key points of the policy are that the rating sale policy is to be used as a last resort. Where the ratepayer can pay but refuses to do so, or where the ratepayer refuses to respond to arrears collection efforts, rating sales will not be undertaken where the ratepayer has genuine payment issues and will only be used where all other attempts to elicit payments have failed. And it also states its approval by the Chief Executive is required to proceed with a rating sale.
Yeah.
Okay, we know that. The key point is this, that was passed, and but the fact of the matter is here. So what we have is that the judgment debt was issued at the Auckland District Court on the 18th of January 2017 for the sum of $431.76 in outstanding rates as of the 11th of March 2015, blah blah. So that was the date of the judgment, and what happened was Stephen Town, CEO, he signed the application for enforcement of judgment for rates by sale and certificate of judgment on the 7th of March 2017. I have the title of my property on a search that was done on the 8th of March 2017, and that shows very clearly there never was a charging order.
No, Vinny, and we remain of the position that we're not required to do so.
Not required by what? The policy clearly states you are.
The charging order is to protect the council rather than you anyway.
Yeah.
So
No, it's not the point. The point is there is not a charging order. The rating sale policy says judgment, charging order,
Doesn't
rating
require
sale.
It says that's what normally the process would be.
That says what? Exactly what? Okay, well, I mean, it just deeply disturbs me. I mean, in my view, not only does Auckland Council seem to feel it doesn't have to comply with the law regarding the Public Records Act, it seems you don't have to comply with your own rating sale policy, and I'd also like to draw to your attention Auckland Council Code of Conduct, where Code of Conduct covers bullying, and I believe that what I'm being subjected to is bullying and also discrimination on the grounds that I'm an anti-corruption whistleblower. So that's my position. But it deeply disturbs me that basically you're saying that the policy doesn't apply, because that's what you are saying.
I do find that shocking as well, as a impartial observer. If the policy doesn't have to be applied, then it would question whether it's even a legitimate policy.
Our view is that we have complied with our policy. We would like you to discuss postponement with us. That makes this all go away.
No, see, this is what you're doing. You're bullying me into rates postponement by having proceedings in the High Court to sell my house. You're not complying with your own rating policy. Stephen Town and you, Kelly, you never responded to my good faith offer made to you and James Hassel and recorded and transcribed on the 26th of January this year. You did not reply. So
Has
on the
Matthew Walker replied to you?
No, I don't. Matthew Walker is the acting chief financial officer, and my understanding, clear understanding of the Local Government Rating Act 2002 is responsibilities delegated under that act cannot be subdelegated.
No, Penny, we've been through all of this.
Well, I'm sorry.
You haven't
You
been
need-
through it. You've had your same. You've said the same thing.
Sorry, Penny's just spent quite a lot of time explaining. Let me
But you
say
can't
this.
just say,
Matthew-
in our opinion, you are not the
No.
court, you are not the law, you are subject to it as much as Penny is.
Well, you're an
Both
officer of the
parties
court,
are.
even more so.
Mr. Town is required to sign the application for rating. This has all been explained to you
Listen,
several times.
you never replied to my offer, neither did Stephen Town. When I asked Matthew Walker, who authorised the letter where he said, "I'll look at some of your things," but basically rates and postponement are two different things, and if you don't apply for rates postponement or arrange to pay your rates, the rating sale policy will go, proceedings will go ahead. And he confirmed he authorised that, not Stephen Town. But Stephen Town signed the bloody paperwork, so why doesn't the buck stop with the same person who's initiated the rating sale? I don't buy this, I don't wear this, it's not right, it's not fair, it's draconian bullying, and I'm sorry, but if you think you're going to push me into signing rates postponement, although my health is bad, no, that is the pits. That is the pits, Kelly. As far as I'm concerned, you should be ashamed of yourself. I mean it.
I mean, the reality here, it seems to me, is you want her to sign this so that you can get out of having to take responsibility for all the points she's brought up, which is, please follow the law and open the books. Now, from that point on, everything else is being ignored.
Okay, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. So sorry about that. Now, let's get the microphone back into the appropriate position. Okay, so let me see, folks. How have you been doing while we've been going along? Because it was a very intense recording. I know that's what Penny's like. She's intense, kind of like the Splore Music Festival in a way. That's intense. But anyway, this particular broadcast here tonight, ladies and gentlemen, is, of course, about Penny Bright and her trying to raise money to get her frickin' house out of the hands of the council. Now, qualifier there is that it's not about giving the council this this money. It's about having the money there in escrow until the council complies with the Public Records Act, which is here. For those of you who don't know, and those of you who've been joining us for the first time, welcome. I'm Vinny Eastwood from the VinnyEastwoodShow.com, and I've been helping Penny Bright out for about 10 years, I guess. Did you know the council breaks this law every time they charge you for your rates? That is why Penny Bright is disputing and refusing to pay hers until they open the books. Record-keeping requirements. Basically, full and accurate records of everything you do. Every contract, every dollar, every person involved, everything that is said, minutes kept on everything. A mountain of paperwork and paper trails for every single dollar that you pay in rates. That's what they're required to do under the Public Records Act 2005. Currently, there's billions of dollars being sucked out of people through rates monies and various other costs. And people don't know where it's going. They just don't know, they say. Oh, we don't know who did that deal. Oh, we didn't know where that steel came from. It's La La Land. It's lawless. It's lascivious. I mean, bro, there isn't a whole lot of reason to think about this issue in any way but these terms. This is the law. The local government is not abiding by it. Corruption is happening. One woman, Penny Bright, is taking a stand. She's putting her own freehold home on the line. This is not a mortgagee sale. This is somebody who believes that it's not the breadth of the stand, but the depth of the stand that you take. And I'm reminded of, in pop culture we have things that we latch on to. For example, in Captain America Civil War, sometimes when the whole world is against you and they're telling you to move, you must plant yourself like a tree and say, no, you move. That is what Penny Bright has done, not only for herself, but for all of us. This is a long-term sacrifice, the amount of emails and questionnaires and protests and things of this nature. I have filmed and done more videos of Penny Bright, not for Penny Bright, but just of her. She's always doing something. 101 video playlist I made, ladies and gentlemen. You search Vinny Eastwood, Penny Bright, and you'll come up with that playlist. And it's down at the bottom here of the article I wrote about it on the VinnyEastwoodShow.com. Because she's always doing something, she understands how things work. For example, the first and title video of the series is How to Steal a Whole City. Now, this is an interview that she did with a magazine editors, right? From start to finish. How they set everything up so that they could have everything they wanted with zero accountability. It's organised crime. Pure and simple. Now, I also want to direct you over to toko.org.nz, and I want you to search Penny Bright on there and sign this petition. They only need 15 more signatures. Come on, ladies and gentlemen, right now, type in www.toko.org.nz and then search Penny Bright, and please sign that petition. Now, I want to qualify this. I never sign petitions. Never. People ask me all the time to sign petitions. I signed this one. Like that. Because I know what Penny has done in the name of transparency, in the name of accountability within local government, not only in Auckland but around New Zealand, and is noted and has been invited to conferences, even in The Hague, as an expert on local government corruption. She's not only an expert on how it's corrupt, she's also an expert on how to clean it up. And ironically, it's quite simple. Abiding by the law, which the council has refused to do at every single turn. Now, the media has given a number of pieces out there to help Penny out, and in some cases it may be a little bit, I don't know, on the nose. I mean, look at all these articles, ladies and gentlemen. It seems a very important issue for the people of Auckland that the council can now sell your home. Now, what Penny's doing is she wants to raise this money here so that you don't have to sell her home. This is her home, it's freehold, she's been there quite some time. She worked very hard and she paid it off, and then she retired from working, has a little bit of income from flatmates, etc., so that she can be an activist full-time and do the job that the council is supposed to do. That is self-sacrifice, ladies and gentlemen. Does she do it for the money? Oh no. No, she doesn't. And that's why you've got to give her some of yours. And there are people like this all over the place who are doing something good for society, who do deserve a little bit of coin. Just keep doing what you're doing. Good job. Here you go. And they will take the money because they need it. We all do. Now, let's have a look at this. To help stop the forced rating sale of my home by raising and holding $20,000 Auckland Council outstanding rates in escrow with solicitor. So essentially we're binding that money with a third party, and it cannot be given to council until they comply with the Public Records Act. And that way we'll know exactly how much they're stealing, where they're stealing it, who's stealing it, and in what way they're doing it. They'll be caught up in a complete nexus of exposure. And I wish there are these little fantasies that I have sometimes of scumbags in handcuffs or something like that, or at the very least just getting arrested on charges somewhat similar to what their character deserves, you know. But we don't see that very often, not in New Zealand, because people don't know. Many of us do not know just how corrupt New Zealand truly is. Transparency International says that we're the second least corrupt country in the world. Penny Bright has found out why that is. It's because Transparency International's survey that they send out, asking you questions about how much corruption you're having in your country, is optionally filled out. So they send you a form. Hi, we're Transparency International. Have you guys got any corruption going on in your country? You know, in your government and your business working together and stealing stuff off the people left, right and centre? And New Zealand government and business community goes, why no? We don't have any problems in that area. So they send it back blank. And we become the second least corrupt country in the world. Okay? And if you think I exaggerate, I'm not exaggerating, ladies and gentlemen. That is exactly what is happening. Let's go back to an article now. Wanted to see if we can play another video for you. But before I do that, I should probably attempt to figure out whether or not we're even still live. Where is my thingy? There we go. We've got people in the track room and things like that. Fantastic. Okay. Let's get back to Penny. Let's have a look at that audio recording. Wanted to see if we can wrap this one up. It's 13 minutes, but we will break to expand on certain parts of it, because this was recorded this morning. Penny is currently, as she's made me aware, trying to call up radio stations like perhaps News Talk ZB, Radio Live, and we will periodically try and tune into those stations as the night goes on. Midnight is the deadline for this one, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Auckland Council corruption's worst nightmare that you're looking at, Ms. Penny Bright. Now, let's have a look at how the media is shaping the narrative out there, because there is an element, it's not overly pervasive, but there is an element of scumbaggery within the New Zealand media that seems to gloss over certain things that they should have paid a bit closer attention to, and perhaps mischaracterize or character assassinate certain other people where they can. And that's just not on, and we call it out where we see it. So let's see if we can get this video to play for you, and also give a yell out in the chat room if you haven't.
Well-known activist Penny Bright has declined Auckland Council's proposal to extend her outstanding rates repayment. Ms Bright has suspected ovarian cancer and is asking for the mortgagee's sale of her home to be halted. The High Court's ordered the house be sold to recover more than $35,000 of unpaid rates. Ms Bright has refused to pay her rates for more than a decade in a protest aimed at getting the council to be more transparent with its spending.
No citizen should have to go through what I'm going through.
Ms Bright has requested another meeting with the council before her Tuesday afternoon deadline to find a solution.
Now, let's think about the brevity of it. No person should have to go through what I'm going through. That's the time.
Get back to the sport. Go ahead about.
Shh, talking head. Me no like you. Okay. These kind of short sound bites is indeed the very reason why I got into doing what I'm doing, because when I started going out to protests, just trying to cover the protests for YouTube and that kind of thing, I found these people with megaphones, the people who gave speeches and that kind of thing. Penny was one of them. In fact, I got them introduced to them through John Eisen, mutual friend, never mind. But the main thing that I learned after interviewing activists in person and editing the videos after versus watching the newscast on mainstream media after that protest that I also covered is the brevity of the statement that they give these activists. Small sound bites as possible, and you never really get a, shall we say, a complete view of what it is you want to see within those tiny sound bites. And the Penny Bright case is one of these exact phenomenon, is that there is a lot of broad knowledge that comes from Penny that is exposed a dozen different little sectors of corruption within the country. She hasn't just been talking about local corruption. She started out as a water rights activist within local Auckland, and she'd been an activist for over 40 years at this point. We're talking about somebody whose adult life has essentially been dedicated to the betterment of society, everybody else. She's in a way, a lot of the things that she's done has had a massive ripple effect across the country. Indeed, before Penny Bright even got involved talking about transparency issues with Auckland Council, there were no online available pages where you could check contracting and procurement details of any kind. After certain activism from Penny Bright, they then added these things to the website. They're not full and accurate, not yet, but as a moment, she's been a completely disastrous thorn in their side. And that's why you want Penny Bright on your side rather than in your side. You know what I'm saying? You're like, donate now, ladies and gentlemen. Like on Give a Little, there's a link up in the description of this video. I don't know where I'm pointing to and that kind of thing. I'm just standing here in the space. It's like I'm trapped in a computer. Imagine if I had some kind of freak out right now. Oh my god, I'm trapped in a repeating time loop of trying to stick up for Penny Bright against ridiculously corrupt scumbags who are so obviously corrupt and psychopathic that you can see them from space. Am I trapped in this phenomenon alone, ladies and gentlemen, or are you seeing the repeated patterns as well? There are people who take their authority as though it is God-given, and they do as they please with all of us. And it's just not on, bro. Like, it's just not freaking on. But in either case, let's go to another video. This one also from One News. Let's see if we can get this to play for you, folks.
Penny Bright has long rallied against Auckland Council. Now she's preparing for a new battle, one that's more personal.
It's suspected ovarian cancer.
The long-time activist has been admitted to Auckland Hospital for tests just as her house goes up for mortgagee sale.
What have I done to deserve this? All I've been trying to do is get the council to comply with the law so we know where our rates monies are being spent.
Auckland Council has instructed the High Court to put 86A School Road on the market to recover Penny Bright's unpaid rates bill.
You can expect that it's a figure in excess of $35,000.
Matthew Walker's the Chief Financial Officer at Auckland Council and says this type of action has happened just once before in the Super City's 7-year history.
We certainly hope that we can settle Ms Bright's rates account ahead of any sale of her property.
Built in 1988, the weatherboard exterior with an iron roof has 3 bedrooms and 1 bathroom and a rateable value of well over $1 million.
The campaign headquarters for me to try and save my home is now Room 1, Ward 97, Gynecology, Auckland Hospital.
Penny Bright has a meeting with Auckland Council tomorrow where she plans to ask for compassion and for the council to pause the sale of her house.
New Zealand land of the fair go? Where's that?
A solution has to be found by 4 o'clock on Tuesday, otherwise the house will be sold and Penny Bright will need to find somewhere else to live. Ryan Boswell, One News.
Now you're talking about the sale of over $1 million home in order to recoup $35,000 worth of rates. Sound a bit draconian? Sound a little bit over the top, that kind of thing? Considering all she's asking you to do is come up with your end of the bargain. Alright? We will say it again for those of you who are just joining us. Did you know the council breaks this law every time they charge you for your rates? And remember, those of you who are paying rents, you're getting charged with the rates too as an on-flow effect. And the council is increasing the rates all the time. Everywhere, pretty much. And they said they wouldn't do this outside the rate of inflation, but they neglected to mention that they passed an amendment saying that they can make up their own rate of inflation. You know who found that out? Penny Bright. And many others alongside her have essentially stood vigil, like sentinels, upon this city, attempting to prevent corrupt scumbags from taking people's homes and their freedom. And their money, unjustifiably. And here we have it. We have the CEO of Auckland Council, I believe it's Mr. Stephen Town, whom has made defamatory statements against Penny Bright in the past, is now, incidentally, the only person with the quote-unquote authority, to sell somebody's home via a rates sale, that rating sale, as it were. And guess what he's doing? He's trying to get Penny out of her home. He's trying to hurt her. He's going after her. This is a malicious bullying tactic. I mean, think about it. Hey, Mr. Councillor, you've got a whole bunch of money that you're taking from everybody, and you're not telling anybody what you're doing with it. What's up with that? And the councillor goes, I'm going to sell your house out from under you. It's just... it's not exactly cricket, as they say. I do want to hear back from you, ladies and gentlemen, in the chat room, because we have... what am I trying to look for? I'm not trying to look for my Skype. I am trying to look for a separate... There we are, there we go. Here is the chat that I'm trying to have a look at. And of course, it won't let me scroll to the side. What a weird thing, man. I love you, Facebook. You make me look so profesh. Oh, now, big hugs, Penny. Thank you, Pearl. And thank you, everybody else, for joining us. Oh, Pam, thank you for putting that toco.org link in there. That's very helpful. And everybody else, thank you so much for joining us here. I've just now had a chance to look at the comments to realise that people are, in fact, listening. All 9 of them. Now, goal is tonight to elucidate on a few things about good old Penny Bright. For those of you who don't know, is in a big old rates dispute with the Auckland Council because they've become a corrupt, plutocratic hive of vipers, and they're basically destroying the city and stealing everybody's money and using it to destroy it further. And we're now going to go to a recording that was taken this morning with Penny Bright in council chambers. Now, I must apologise for the sound quality because the council people, when they speak, they will be speaking in a rather muffled voice. But when Penny speaks, you'll be able to hear what she's going on to. So bear in mind, she's just come out of hospital with suspected ovarian cancer. And on top of that, the council's trying to sell her house out from under her. So that's not nice, is it? So we're going to go to this recording here.
And the procedures that are outlined for those extreme cases where they exist are being ignored.
This is Lisa
and
Prager.
you are forcing her to sell her house, specifically when her health isn't good, but saying, just sign this and it'll all go away.
No,
it's not.
In fact,
it's
I
not
don't know if there's any point of being here,
because
quite
she's
frankly.
not saying, she's never said, I won't pay my rates, I won't pay my rates.
No,
She said,
I've never said that.
I want to pay my rates, but I think it's fair that the council fulfills its legal obligations to follow the letter of the law and open the books.
Now, I just want to comment on something there. When the council lady, you may not have heard her very well, but she says something along the lines of, by the way, this is going till midnight tonight, ladies and gentlemen, possibly, if I can stay up that long, because that is the extension on the Give a Little page. I've raised about $14,000 of that already, and that's like most of it, I think. Yeah, I think they've raised most of it. So it's up to 14,000. It was up to maybe 8,000 maybe a day or two ago. I wonder what will happen if we reload it. 14,568, 14,568. No change. Okay, I just want to go back to this recording now because what you would have heard there is that Lisa Prager, who's a friend of Penny Bright, long-time activist, was saying, you're just telling her that, just sign this, Penny, and it'll all go away. Like that's a kind of a threat, right? And you could see the councillor trying to talk over her. I never said that. I never said that. Well, the thing is, it was recorded. We played that earlier on the live feed, where she's saying, just sign it, Penny, and this will all go away. That in those kind of terms. Not in a threatening tone or whatever, but the words were there. And it just seems to be that they're just trying to force her to back down because they don't want to open the books. Right? It's either she backs down or we open the books, because she only has one demand: open the books. And the fact that they won't do it, does that not sound uber suspicious? Because that's crazy, mate. Now, give us a shout out in the chat room if you do have any questions or comments. Let me know if you can hear me all right. Let me know if these videos are too loud or too silent. Now, in the meantime, we're going to go back to this recording of Lisa Prager and Penny Bright at the council meeting this morning concerning the rate sale of Penny Bright's home.
For Ms. Bright, for Penny, that two judges have said that it's quite a separate matter.
Listen,
You
you're
must pay your
you're
rates.
not the court.
The
You
court
are
said that to me.
that's the court. You are the council. You can and do exactly what you bloody like. We've already seen that. You don't comply with the Public Records Act. You don't comply with your rating sale policy. You don't comply with your code of conduct.
Our
You think you
view
can
is
do.
We do comply.
Well,
We
your
comply
view is
in
just
every way.
bullshit. You do not
That is
comply.
council's view, Penny.
Well, who's council's view, Kelly? Who's saying that? When you say council, elected representatives, the CEO, when you say council, who are you talking about?
And this touches on an issue that Penny's actually raised many times before, is that essentially with the governance of Auckland, these people literally make it up as they go along. They don't kind of make it up as they go along, they literally do. They just make it up.
Talking about to the state, the elected representatives and the CEO.
As far as I'm concerned, Auckland Council were misled at the governing body meeting on the 22nd of March when, very unusually, something that's obviously not a normal operational matter, the sale of my house was brought up on the 22nd of March at the council meeting. Actually, I found that information out from you. I didn't even know they were going to be discussing my case at council. And what happened was Matthew Walker and James Hassel gave assurances that the process had been followed. Well, I call bullshit on that. You haven't followed your rating policy. The mayor and elected councillors were absolutely misled, and I think it's an absolute disgrace. And when I bailed up Stephen Town on the steps of the town hall after that meeting, I said, "Where's your response to my offer?" He said, "I'll get it to you soon." He never replied. He passed the parcel to Matthew Walker, whom I note is fronting for the council during the media interviews. Why is it not Stephen Town? He's the one who signed the proceedings. Why is he not fronting the media?
I mean, there is a very clear issue here where there is bad blood.
There is
Stephen
very bad
Town
blood.
and Penny because he made defamatory statements about her good character, and from that moment on, he has made it his job to basically destroy her. And this is the final step. So when the policy isn't followed, that makes it even more serious.
Look, the bottom line is this, that yes, what Stephen Town did say was Ms Bryant has made wild and inaccurate accusations about the council and its probity, centred everywhere. He had never said, in my opinion, he never provided a skerrick of fact or evidence to back up where I've ever been factually inaccurate on anything. And he spent over $207,000 of public money, Simpson Grierson lawyer, to get my case struck out. So be it. But the bottom line is he still has never provided any facts or evidence where I've been inaccurate. He's got bad blood against me. As far as I'm concerned, he's lied about me. Was there ever any discussion by anybody whether it was appropriate for Stephen Town, given his obvious malice towards me, that he was the correct and proper person to be involved in signing?
He has to be under the law, Penny.
Oh.
He has no...
I see. So well, how convenient. So the same person who's got malice towards me, who in my views lied about me, he's got no choice but to force the sale of my house. I call bullshit on that. You could have always put a charging order against my property. Better than that, you could have complied with the Public Records Act, which has been the law since 2005. And I have to say, as an officer of the court, Kelly, I'm really disappointed that I seem to be doing your job for you. Why have you not said, well, actually, Councillor Penny's got a point. We should have the books more open? Because I understand from Councillor Kathy Casey that there are going to be big improvements made in continuing to open the books, thanks to my pushing and shoving. But in the meantime, we'll still keep threatening to sell Penny Bright's house until we force her to sign a rates postponement.
Yeah, so as Helen said in our last meeting, ratepayers simply can't pick and choose when they want to pay their rates.
No, how can you pick and choose what laws you follow, Kelly? How does that work?
I follow all the laws.
Bullshit. Absolute bullshit.
Well, hang on now. There's a difference.
Now let's qualify that. Full and accurate records of its affairs in accordance with normal prudent business practice, including the records of any matter that is contracted out to an independent contractor. That is currently not being done, so every time you get charged with your rates in Auckland, the council is breaking this law. Did you have a breakdown to where all your rates monies were going inside the little bill that they sent you? Because that's what they're supposed to do. All the council business that happened that month, where all your money's going, all the projects that are going, that kind of thing. keep you informed as to what your monies are being spent on. That's the law. They're not following.
Us here.
Do
No,
we
no,
want to
there's a
try and
difference here.
resolve
Hang on,
this?
hang on. We are. But
Well, we're not going to have the same argument over again. I mean, we're just going over old ground.
No, we're not actually, because I was at that last meeting, and you know what it struck me? It struck me you'd already made up your minds what you wanted, and until Penny actually did what you wanted, there was going to be no
This is
movement.
Lisa
Now
Price
I'm
speaking,
here
yeah?
as part of engaging in an open,
And yes, that was
transparent negotiation. She, in good faith, has the money. She is
Well,
building.
not
no, but I mean a
getting there.
considerable amount of money. It has never been about.
Let's
Penny.
address that point to start. So Penny's got a little page specifically directed at what Penny says she owes. She actually
No.
owes $68,000.
No, let's get it
in
right.
rates.
No, excuse me.
Penny-
I got it from
no.
Stephen. I got it from Matthew Walker. I got a breakdown. Altogether, I owe 89,000 apparently.
Yes,
20,000
the
outstanding
costs.
rates, 20,000 legal fees, and 49,000 penalties.
That's correct.
Yeah, the outstanding rates is 20,000, which is
But we are
absolutely
not going
accurate.
to, but unfortunately the penalties become rates.
Actually, can I just say here, as someone who's pretty familiar with this sort of stuff, it is at the discretion of the council how they apply this law. Yes, it is.
No,
You and I
is it?
both. You and I
Yes.
both know it is, because if Mr. Town can spend $220,000 of
207.
public money to try and attack Penny, it's pretty discretionary, and that's a big number. It's not 20 grand. That's 200,000. It does have a bearing on this case.
Huge
Because the
bearing.
bottom line here is someone who's not just floating around, not abiding by the law and not just making money and just couldn't be bothered paying.
doing
you.
your bloody job for you,
She
Kelly.
has focused consistently in this last 17 years to draw this council's attention to this one issue, which all of us ratepayers feel we are entitled to. Now, just because they don't all turn up at council and breathe hot air, it doesn't mean that people out there don't want this council to follow the law. Now, Penny has the balls to do it, and good on her, because I sure as hell don't. I'm as terrified as you, as the next person. But she...
And as you made an interesting point there, is that only Penny, it's a city of 1.4 million people, and only Penny has taken this level of a stand against the corruption in this city, against the money changing scumbags. Frickin' inspiring, mate. I'm going after it for 10 years.
has stood up and is actually saying, on this point, I want the council to actually engage in negotiations about this situation. All the council has to do is say, we will open the books.
No,
We
no.
will-
They have to do. No,
Well-
what they need to do is end up with the published information. What I mean, I don't think
Which
there's a
is-
So, when we just come back to the bottom line, is that council is not prepared to tie that with Penny's payment of the rates. They're separate issues. Penny must pay her rates. The other question, the transparency, is a completely separate matter.
But guess
That is
what?
just total bullshit, Kelly. I have disputed
This is Penny now.
and refused to pay rates for 11 years because of the lack of transparency. For you to say they're completely separate is just absolute hogwash.
That's
It's just
exactly what Judge Harrison said. It's also what Justice
you
Vinny
are
said.
not.
By the way, ladies and gentlemen, the New Zealand court system is very, very, very corrupt. Like, very, 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 very corrupt. It's remarkable. The mind reels about the stuff that goes on in the New Zealand courts here. You know, so many people in this country are like, what is going on here? You know? And this is, again, things that Penny Bright and people like her have tried to expose to the people of New Zealand, because everybody essentially gets hurt by corruption. In some small way, there's an on-flow effect.
The court. You are the council. You have.
Following the court's judgment.
You have. You put the proceedings into court. You can take them out of court. And that is what I'm seeking for you to do. I don't know if there's much more point in us meeting here today. I'm extremely disappointed. I do absolutely do not accept that you've followed your own rating sale policy at
This is
all.
Penny, by the way,
I
for those
am
who just joined
prepared
us.
to meet again on Monday, but I really don't think we're going to get very much further here
What would
today.
be the purpose of meeting on Monday?
Well, what would be
what's going to be different on Monday?
Well, what will be different on Monday? I believe that the Money in the Give a Little page and the huge growing public concern about your draconian bullying. I think that's what's going to be different.
Well, I can tell you now that as far as we're concerned, even if you were to get the 20,000 on your Give a Little page, that's not sufficient to settle the whole rates matter. There's 68,000. You'd need to postpone the rest of it. We're very willing for you to postpone your obligation to pay rates.
Let's get creative. Just hold it for a second. Okay,
anything.
but okay. What you don't understand, there's a moral point here. It's not that she's trying not to pay any money. It would be different if she was trying not to pay any money, but she's not. She's trying to use it in order that the council. So why can't we have a compromise where the council writes a letter, goes upstairs and simply goes, we acknowledge Penny's battle and we will undertake to open the books within this time frame, and we appreciate her offer to assist us. And in return, she signs your document. It can't just be one way. This has been an 11-year battle, not just for the fun of it. It's been really, really awful hard work, and probably, related to creating her current illness.
No, I can tell you right now that, quite frankly, has Auckland Council given me cancer? We don't know the results, what it is that's wrong with me. Have council created enormous stress on me? Oh, yes, you have. Huge stress. And I'm sorry, but, it's in terms of, on so many fronts, this is just absolutely wrong what you're doing. But, if the purpose of your meeting here today is just to, same as last time, sign the rates postponement penny and it'll all go away, I just don't think you've been listening. Yeah, I don't think there's much more point today. I am prepared to consider another meeting on Monday. I want you to take that back and I want you to talk directly to CEO Stephen Town, and I want you, again, to ask where's the copy of the charging order against my property and where is your response, Stephen Town, to my offer, and why have you not been fronting the media on this matter? I just don't see any point today. I really don't.
I'll meet you outside.
Yeah, I don't. You are making me very sick.
This is Vinny, having had 5 litres of fluid drained from her stomach very recently, only just got out of hospital. Now there is a lot of evidence to suggest that yes, stress does cause cancer. In fact, stress causes a lot of different forms of illness. And it's making compromises against yourself. That's something that causes cancer, according to Dr. Leonard Caldwell. Now let's go on to, I believe we had a video here of Penny Bright. Appear to need to reload that puppy, so there we go, we're going to play that.
Await. Veteran Auckland activist Penny Bright has been in hospital awaiting test results for cancer. She's been forced into a mortgagee sale of her house through non-payment of rates, but that process might now be delayed due to her sudden illness. Cleo Fraser has the story.
Penny Bright has fought hard protesting for more than 40 years.
It's a bloody disgrace!
But she might be facing her biggest challenge yet.
I have suspected ovarian cancer.
She was taken to hospital earlier this week with stomach pain.
I don't know exactly what we're dealing with yet, and it's a big fat waste of time worrying when you don't know.
Bright's been in a standoff with Auckland Council for 11 years. She refuses to pay rates on her Kingsland home because she believes the council needs to be more transparent about its spending.
I've been extremely consistent and persistent for the last 11 years.
$35,000 is owed, and after several unsuccessful appeals, the High Court is forcing the sale of her house. Tenders close on Tuesday, but Bright's sudden illness means Auckland Council may ask the High Court to delay finalising the sale by 10 days. Until it's finalised, Bright can stop the sale of her house by repaying the rates or even agreeing to repaying later. She plans to meet with the council tomorrow and says that she'll demand that they allow her to help them become more transparent. In return, she says she'll repay the rates, but not until April next year.
I don't believe that I will say goodbye to my house. I do believe that the council will see sense.
Bright says she expects to find out in the next week if she has cancer or not. Cleo Fraser, News Hub.
Okay. Down there. Lisa, thank you for joining us. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, we are trying to get this to go through till midnight because that is the last chance, ladies and gentlemen, the last chance you will have to donate to Penny Bright's Give a Little page there. So the link is in the description above, and we're going to be talking Bright throughout the night. Now, there's also another video here from Stuff. Now look at this provocative headline. Auckland activist Penny Bright has, quote, no legal leg to stand on, university lecturer says. And they've got this little video to accompany it, ladies and gentlemen. An Auckland activist is set to have her house sold to recover more than $34,000 in unpaid rents. Penny Bright began refusing to pay her rates in 2007, saying the council needs to be more transparent about this matter. I always intended to pay back the rates, which I think has been lost in the course. Kingsland Home will be sold by tender 24. And of course, no mention of the Give a Little page or anything like that. But it's kind of, they're saying more or less it's a foregone conclusion, like this is what's going to happen. They don't have the... I don't know what the word for it is. Let me just drink some more of this magic liquid. We'll see if that helps. A leader in the field of social sciences and public policy says Auckland activist Penny Bright is fighting a losing battle as she attempts to reverse a decision by the High Court to sell her home. Bright's Kingsland home would be sold to recover more than $34,000 in unpaid rates and penalties dating back more than 10 years. Now bear in mind, this Give a Little page has been open for, 10 days? From April the 10th to April the 20th, and there's $14,000 in it already. And I've only been involved in starting to spread it around my network in the last maybe 48 hours or something like that. The media coverage here too, also within the last 24 to 48 hours, concerning the rating sale. And this is one of the character pieces, essentially, that is going through the media at the moment. A leader in the field of social sciences and policy says Auckland activist Penny Bright is fighting a losing battle as she attempts to reverse a decision by the High Court to sell her home. Bright's Kingsland home would be sold to recover more than $34,000 in unpaid rates and penalties dating back more than 10 years. The bitter standoff with Auckland Council over unpaid rates began more than 11 years ago after Bright stopped paying them in 2007. This is 2 years after the passing of the Public Records Act, which requires by law full and accurate bookkeeping that is easily accessible of local government business. What are you doing with my money? That kind of thing. She said she wouldn't pay up until the council was more transparent about its spending. And Penny's very specific about that. She has a list of these checks and balances that are supposed to keep corruption from local government, especially at the highest levels. And this isn't something that she just came up with willy-nilly. We're talking about a quality assurance background. And going into the books and saying, where is billions of dollars of our rates money being spent? Oh, it's being given to a whole bunch of people over here for this contracting and thing. Oh yeah? What are they doing on that contract? I don't know. Don't you have any records on that? I don't know. You know? It's billions of dollars, folks. It's smoke. My fear is that people will look at where their money is, and I'll find out that it's not there. It's not there anymore. Like it's been shipped off seas in a Panama Papers type money laundering scheme. Goodness knows what. Put nothing past this country. People have grown up for a long, long time, unaware that New Zealand is in fact a very, very corrupt place. Continuing on with the article, I'm making a stand, and because I am a whistleblower, I'm being singled out and targeted. I am not leaving. This is my home, she said. AUT senior lecturer Kate Nichols says Penny Bright is losing the support of the activist community. I wonder who Kate Nichols is. We were wondering that before when we were glozing through this article. Bright met with Auckland Council lawyers on Friday morning to discuss her offer of settlement made in January, one she claimed was ignored by council officers and falsely reported to media. What's interesting about over the many years looking over articles of Penny Bright is that you have this certain language that instills doubt. She claims, right? As opposed to it was. She's actually got the evidence. It was on video, or it was all recorded, that kind of thing. And what they try to do in a lot of cases is a broad campaign of character assassination. Okay, just remember, we're talking about billions of dollars on the line here, hinging on the shoulders of one woman who's now got ovarian cancer and just had to have 5 litres of fluid drained out of her stomach. And that's on us now, right? Like the city's in, shall we say, dirty hands. And there's the woman who's trying to clean it up, who's actually put her home and, as it turns out, her health on the line for transparency. And it seems incumbent, really, upon all of us to pitch in where we can, I got no money, alright? Broke as. I got water, I got coffee, that's all I need to do a broadcast. Well, plus, the gear, but I'm doing what I can with what I got to help out Penny right now, when I should probably be in bed, shouldn't be doing this. I've got a gig tomorrow night with the boys, doing music, that kind of thing. So let's hope I do get a good night's sleep. The goal is to go to midnight, and periodically we'll check into the Give a Little page here and see how the donations are going. What do I expect? I have no expectations. Oh wait, 648, 14.4, 648. So hey, we've had a little over another $100 donated in there since we last refreshed it, and this broadcast has only been going on in an hour. We have 2 hours and 20 minutes to go. Ladies and gentlemen, please share the link around if you can. Just trying to save Penny Bright's house so that we can put that in escrow with the solicitor, so that, hey, we've got the money to pay the rates. Why don't you, comply with the law, and we'll give you the money for the rates. How's that? Don't have to sell someone's home. And it's like, oh mate, trying to go through this big rigmarole with the courts and that kind of thing. Not something you want to happen to you, is it, ladies and gentlemen? This woman's going through it for us. Auckland University of Technology senior lecturer Kate Nichols was familiar with Bright's case but felt she had no real legal leg to stand on and said Bright was losing the support of the activist community. This is the Public Records Act, 2005. Every public office and local authority must create and maintain full and accurate records of its affairs in accordance with normal prudent business practice, including the records of any matter that is contracted out to an independent contractor. They're not doing it, so every time the council charges you for your rates, they are breaking this law. And Penny Bright is disputing and refusing to pay her rates in a proper way until they comply with the law. Alright? What she's doing is not illegal, unless you talk to a corrupt New Zealand judge, or a corrupt council official, or an uninformed member of the public. Pay your rates, Penny. They don't know what they're talking about. They maybe haven't seen what Penny has done over the last 10 years, and they'd be forgiven for maybe saying, hey, just pay your rates, I pay my rate, nobody bothers me, that kind of thing. Absolutely. But this is different. It's not just about having the money to pay your rates and just refusing to pay them for no good reason. This is about billions of dollars of public money that is disappearing into nothingness and nobody knows where it's going. And not wanting to give money to a system that does that until they clean up their act and hold them to account, because they should be accountable. That's actually what this is about. And if we go back to this Stuff article here, as a student of social movements and activism, I would say that campaigns such as these only work if the action is taken collectively and supported more generally by the activist community, Nichols said. Now, think about this. This is somebody who's got no support from the activist community. Sets out for 20,000. She's got nearly 15,000 on there, ladies and gentlemen. Please click on that Give a Little page. But I do want to get this audience up perhaps a little. Try and copy the link for this and post it on your walls. Post it. Tell people, tune in now. This is the time, because from midnight tonight, that Give a Little page will have closed its operations at 11:59 p.m. local New Zealand time. Now, it doesn't matter where you live. I mean, Penny helped to stop the Wellington Super City. I mean, in some cases in the Auckland Super City, people have had a rates increase of like several 100%, or something crazy like that. No accountability whatsoever. They just walk in. It's like a protection racket, like a mafia. And Penny's standing against it on behalf of all of us. So go to that Give a Little page there. Go to givealittle.com and Google Penny Bright if you aren't savvy enough. There is also, I believe, a link at the top of the live cast video here. So donate now to help Penny Bright, and there's a link to that Give a Little page there. The problem for Ms. Bright is that this has been something of a one-woman campaign, and while she may have once had strong links with the activist community, she has lost support for various reasons over the years, and is now quite isolated in her fight. Personality politics and generational divide around the cause meant that Bright's words didn't carry as much weight as they once did, she said. Younger activists, which may have common concerns with Bright in general terms, were not supportive of her because they were not homeowners themselves and did not pay rates directly, she said. Now, this also makes me understand that, of course, a lot of people are not interested. They're like, rates and everything like that. But the fact of the matter is, These things affect everybody in a very, very direct way. For example, the Agenda 21 protocols that are coming in, all these new bike lanes that are just congesting traffic. They're taking out all the parking lanes outside people's businesses so customers can't stop outside the business and come in and patron their services, right? They're just strangling absolutely everything out of this city, man. It's absolutely terrible. Now, the goal here, essentially, is to have red tape on everything if you are a small independent business owner, and no red tape if you're an enormous business owner. And no accountability either. Okay? They want it all slanted in one direction, ladies and gentlemen. This is what corruption is. This is what corruption does. It's giving Penny Bright a hell of a lot of stress. It's probably causing her illness. They're trying to sell her house out from under her just for exposing the fact that they are not abiding by the law. When they charge you for your rates, they're supposed to tell you what they do with them. Alright? Hey, pay us this money. This is what we did with your money last month. Oh, you helped out the kids, the city mission. Yeah, alright, money well spent. Cheers, boys. Here's your new paycheck. That kind of thing. In Penny Bright's case, it's, so have you got any of the details of your, thing? No. Well, I'm not going to give you my money then. Well, you've got to give us the money. Who says? Where's the law that says that? Well, there isn't one, but we just make it up as we go along. Well, nah. Not gonna hold on to that 12 years later. Still trying to mess with her. Still trying to sell her house out from under her. And I remember when I first heard about this, I was like, good luck. They don't know who they're dealing with. Now, this point here that this Nichols has raised is that young activists and that kind of thing aren't supporting her because they themselves are not homeowners. Well, what's problematic about this is that I don't understand why people can't see the connection between things. I mean, if somebody's being charged rates and you're renting their house, wouldn't they on-flow the cost of rent onto you? You see, you are paying rates, be it directly or indirectly. So that means everything that's happening to Penny Bright and the implications for this case are massive and wide-reaching. It just makes a lot of sense to support it rather than just not support it. Kind of like one of those insurance policies. I need kind of a little bit of a bulwark against, let's say, corporate corruption, scumbaggery, tyranny, that kind of thing. What could I do? What possible action could I take to say that tyranny is not something I support? You could back up Penny Bright, ladies and gentlemen. You could back up Penny Bright. Unlike this commentator, this is a rather a middle-class NIMBY kind of fight, which is not a priority for the Generation Zero type crowd, which focuses on causes such as housing affordability, having the council pay a living wage to its workers and contractors, cycle pass and other transport issues, and reducing carbon emissions along with other environmental causes, Nichols said. So they're not concerned with justice. They're not concerned with the council actually following the law to the letter. No, we need more cycle lanes. It's not like Auckland's congestion is bad enough. It's not like you've never actually seen a cyclist in a cycle lane even once in your life. Have you? You have? I've never seen a cyclist in a cycle lane in my life, ladies and gentlemen. And I've seen a lot of people stuck in gridlock though, because they could have 2 lanes to travel down if it weren't for those frickin' cycle lanes taking up half of one. This is the kind of madness that we're dealing with here. A clear and present danger to us all. If we don't have the decision-making abilities over what happens with the future of our cities, then who does? And the answer is a bunch of people who just make it up as they go along. They don't care. And the people of this city need to be very much aware that Penny Bright is possibly the one, possibly the only person who is taking the greatest stand against corruption in this city in a broad scale. That's how important this is. You know, we're talking about billions of dollars worth of public assets. I'm talking about over 1 million people. This is the centre of commerce, essentially, for the whole city. I mean, the country, I mean. So the size of this can't really be understated. Prior to a meeting with council lawyers today, Bright told Stuff she would challenge the decision to sell her house on the grounds only the chief executive of Auckland Council could apply to the High Court for an order to sell a house over unpaid rates, a process she did not believe had been followed. Now, they use these words like believe as though, as a matter of opinion, but this is the process, they're supposed to follow it. And incidentally, the only person with the legal authority to do this, being the CEO of Auckland Council, Stephen Town, has made defamatory statements in the past. And he's been taken to court and this kind of thing. And of course, New Zealand courts, being as corrupt as they are, they throw a case out. And that's what's going on here. It's one woman stand against a very, very corrupt system that has many, many faces. And it's like you cut off one head and two more grow in its place, like some mythical beast. There was no provision in the Rating Act for the chief executive to deregulate their authority. This is clear bully tactics. I am being singled out, and they have no right to do what they are trying to do, she said. Bright's property was worth probably more than $1 million, she said. The house was scheduled to be sold by tender on April 24th. It's currently April 20. Coincidentally, International Marijuana Day, 4/20, and it is an important thing for the ladies and gentlemen to do, to go to this Give a Little page. The link is in the description of this video there. And donate a little to Penny Bright. We will try and see if we can get a bank account number or something of that nature for you folks after the fact. And over on the VinnyEastwoodShow.com under Vinny Eastwood, Mr. News Eastwood's blog, there is a article about Penny, and we're going to go to a video now. That was recently taken, well, not too recently actually. Penny's had it on her, but she's been so stressed with this council thing that she hadn't actually gotten the chance to get the video uploaded. So basically, Lisa thank you very much for coming over to the house and letting me upload this video. So it's a number of very important questions to ask about the Penny Bright case, which I think this particular person asking them did a good job. Mouth is very, very dry. Alright, so as we play this, I'm going to take a quick break, ladies and gentlemen. I will be right back.
I have been subjected to municipal bullying and harassment that is draconian in my view. This is the second time ever that Auckland Council has attempted to force the sale of a freehold property, and with me I'm an anti-corruption citizen whistleblower who's absolutely unprotected by legislation, and I have made a stand and I'm not backing down. I'm trying to hold Auckland Council accountable to the rule of law, the rule of law being the Public Records Act 2005, which states, Section 17, all public bodies and local authorities must create and maintain full and accurate records in accordance with prudent business practice, including all matters contracted out to independent contractors. That's the law. Well, how that affects each ratepayer, I mean, council keeps wanting more and varied types of rates, where are rates monies being spent? And the amount of monies that are being spent across Auckland Council and Auckland Council, i.e. corporate controlled organisations, on private sector consultants and contractors is enormous. What I want published on the website of Auckland Council and Auckland Council controlled organisations under procurement awarded contracts are the following details of awarded contracts: the unique contract number, the name of the consultant or contractor, a brief description of the scope of the contract, contract start and finish dates, the exact dollar value that attaches to each and every contract, including those subcontracted, and how was the contract awarded, by direct appointment or public tender. That's it. I have been making this stand for 11 years, and thanks to largely my heavy lifting, the books are a lot more open than they were before, but we've not quite finished. I offered Auckland Council on the 26th of January how we could resolve this. How we could resolve this was withdraw the proceedings to force the sale of my house, but I will work with Council in order to finish the job and open the books. I have a quality assurance background. I have a good grasp of process, and I have now been to 7 international anti-corruption conferences, including last year I was invited to The Hague as New Zealand International Rule of Law expert. So I was invited and I attended, and I got public support to get over there. I said, my broomstick's buggered. If you want me to go over to The Hague, it's a huge honour. I need you to help. And I got the $5,000 to get over there in 7 days. Well, I just believe that this transparency in public spending is massive. And what I believe is that the basis of the neoliberal myth and mantra, public is bad, private is good, they just made it up. Because when you ask for evidence that proves that that was the case, there isn't any. So when I went to the Transparency International Conference in 2010, what the global procurement market was in 2010 was $14 trillion, of which it was estimated $2.5 trillion was estimated to be lost in bribery and corruption. My little peasant brain went tick, tick, tick. $2,500 billion. Wouldn't that help feed, clothe, water and shelter a few poor people? And then I realised to my horror that Transparency International, they were not focused on the underpinning private procurement model. They were focused on the process. And to me, they weren't getting to the root cause of this corruption, which was the contracting out of public services. And that's why I believe that what I'm doing is very significant. I believe I'm one of the few people in the world who's actually saying the root cause of so much grand corruption is privatisation, contracting out. Who else is saying that? Private procurement model means that public services provided by local and central government, instead of being provided in-house by people directly employed, what it is, it's contracted out. But the problem is, as soon as you get into contracting out, you get into contract management. And they say, oh, council, government staff, they're too dumb to know how to do that. What we need is the consultants to project manage the works contractors, who then subcontract, then subcontract again in a lot of cases. So by the time you get to the boots and overalls, actually getting their hands dirty, doing something productive, there may be 3 or 4 layers of pinstripe suit, clip, clip, clip the ticket. We're paying for that. How is that cost effective? Well, to be honest, I don't think what we used to have was actually broken. You know, like the days of the Ministry of Works, the days of council works departments, what was broken? But they came up with that myth, no, public is bad, private is good, we can do things more efficiently. Efficient, in my experience, is corporate speak for we haven't yet got our filthy hands on it. That's my view. Yeah. There has been a very significant study which proves how contracting out is actually twice as expensive as in-house service provision, and that was carried out by POGO, Project on Governmental Oversight, and they are a non-governmental organisation, an NGO, based in the United States at federal government level, who spent 3.5 years checking 550 different service activities, and the results of their research were astonishing, that actually contracting out was twice as expensive. And that is one of the few studies that's been done to check this. Well, given that there is so much contracting out locally, nationally and internationally, wouldn't you think that people who were really worried about the spending of public money might have actually researched this a little bit earlier? I have made many requests to Auckland Council directly. I have actually been granted speaking rights to Auckland Council governing body and committees more than any other citizen, and I know because I've checked the minutes. And I've looked into the reds of their eyes and I've said, why is it my job to tell you your job? You swore an oath to the public to uphold the law. Here is the law, the Public Records Act. Why is it not being implemented and enforced? Please instruct the CEO to comply with the law and make this information available for public scrutiny. And thanks largely to my work, I can show where I have managed to help prise open the books, because back in October 2014, I said, how come Auckland Transport provides a lot of the information I'm seeking? Surely good enough for Auckland Transport, a council-controlled organisation, good enough for Auckland Council, because at that stage, Auckland Council and Watercare Services, another council-controlled organisation, provided no information about awarded contracts. Thanks to me, sticking my neck out over my house and taking matters directly to council, CEO Stephen Town said that made a commitment to opening the books, and from April 2015, some of the information was provided. Then what happened was I went to a Watercare Board meeting in, I think it was May 2015, and said, why aren't you complying with the Public Records Act? And made a fuss. Within 2 months, Watercare started providing the same information as Auckland Council. Not the full 9 yards as I'm asking for, but at least a step along the way. Now, I'm doing all this unpaid. I'm doing all the heavy lifting. I go to council meetings and I get councillors sort of pat on the head, good work, Penny, good work, and my reward is you're going to sell my house. How does that work? I don't do this for reward, but back in 2010, in July 2010, I actually got a Good Citizen Award under the old Auckland City Council, and that was from the Mount Eden Albert Community Board, and it got a bit of publicity at the time because it was a bit controversial, but for two things. One was my fight to help stop water privatisation, but the other was my fight for transparency in contracting. So how does that work? Under Auckland City Council, although I'm disputing and not paying my rates at the same time, I get a Good Citizen Award, some recognition for the work that I'm doing in a positive way. Under Auckland Council, I help prise the books open, arguably way more than I did with Auckland City Council, and my house is being threatened with a forced rating sale. How on earth does that work? There are a number of people that put forward the line, we all have to pay our rates, why don't you? And my reply to that is that if you don't know your rights, you don't have any. And if you don't fight to defend the rights you're supposed to have, you lose them. I know my lawful rights as a citizen, and I also know Auckland Council's statutory duties. And what I would say to a number of people, especially when I get a bit exasperated, you may choose to be a sheepish slave, I don't. And I'm making a stand which actually everybody will end up benefiting from, because the first step to checking for cost effectiveness is knowing where the costs fall. Because my secondary argument is to look at bringing as many council services as possible back in-house. Opening the books, cutting out the consultants and the contractors, bringing it back in-house. Step number one, get the books open to find out exactly where the costs fall.
All right. Hope you've been enjoying that, ladies and gentlemen. Let's check out the chat going on here. And 10 of you watching, thank you so very much to be joining in. Monty, Zoran, John, Ian and Peter. I have... Oh, mate. My bedtime is normally about 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock or something. I get up ridiculously early, maybe 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. Just attempting to forcibly wake myself up on coffee, allegedly running until midnight tonight with this broadcast, trying to get activist Penny Wright, give a little page, and the donations up to 20,000 before midnight. 14,648, 14,918. She's climbing, ladies and gentlemen. We're almost at the 15,000 mark now. It'd be amazing if we actually did make it tonight. That there's been nearly 10,000 so far donated within the last 24 hours alone. So we may, if we're lucky, just hit the $20,000 mark, which is the goal here, by the end of the night. Now, there's also, I wanted to note that if you do scroll up the comments on this video there, you'll see a link to talko.org.nz, this petition here, which currently has 786 of 800 signatures required. So if there are any of you in the chat room that are capable of clicking on that link, or going to talko.org.nz while you're listening and signing that petition, we're almost at the limit on that one as well. Be good to kill two birds with one stone tonight. I am obviously not getting paid. Activists don't pay. They pay off though. You know, don't get me wrong. Us activists are a damaged crowd, suspicious, and it's kind of why we do what we do. A lot of people still don't know why Penny Bright is disputing and refusing to pay her rates. In a nutshell, it's because the council are breaking the law, and she is the only person who is willing to make her freehold, to put her freehold house on the line in order to make them follow the law. Now, there's also a link there to the Public Records Act, so you can see for yourself that what the law is and what council are doing, they don't match up. And let me remind you, ladies and gentlemen, that because we are live, this is your chance to participate. So if you do have any questions about Penny and that kind of thing, which is what's happening, just throw it into the chat room. You got suggestions for topics and these kind of things. Penny revolves around a lot of areas. So it's not just about the Auckland council rates. Penny has stood up about a lot of other very, very, shall we say, in some people's circles, fringe ideas and what have you that turn about within proper investigation to be facts, supported by evidence. And Penny goes where the evidence shows. A few people have asked why Penny Bright is not paying her rates. Technically, it's because oh my god, it was hundreds. I was trying to recall this earlier today, and I thought it was 350 obligations, but under the Public Records Act, there's something like 800 mentions of the word must. All right, the council must. 800 of those do this, such and that, and only 3. Right. So technically it's because the council have roughly 800 obligations under the Local Government Act, and rate payers have like 3. Penny noticed that the council isn't actually fulfilling any of its lawful requirements in regards to the spending of ratepayers' money, so she's disputing and refusing to pay rates until the council open up the books as they're required to do by law. Instead of doing so, Auckland Council CEO Stephen Town lied and defamed Penny, saying she'd made... quote, wild and inaccurate statements. She responded with a defamation lawsuit. However, instead of apologising to Penny and paying the $10,000 from his $600,000 salary, Mr. Town got the council to spend $100,000 on lawyers to defend him against her. Yesterday, when she arrived, this was written some time ago, Yesterday when she arrived, these pricey lawyers didn't even have the affidavit of service. Now the case has been delayed till December 21st, a time when the entire country will be too busy on holiday to pay attention to this case that is exposing how the council is literally wasting billions of ratepayers' money with zero accountability. You know, just take a swallow of that, folks, because this is not a game. She's really putting her house on the line. She's putting her health on the line. Now it's beginning to be apparent. Apparently she's been feeling sick for weeks. Went down to a college reunion, a 50-year college reunion or something like that. And started having a acute pain. Went to the Wairarapa hospital. She didn't remember Wairarapa having a hospital. They took 5 litres of fluid out of her stomach, ladies and gentlemen. 5 kilos she lost in a night. She says there's more pleasant ways to lose weight, she can assure you. And then, after about 6 days in the hospital there, she goes into this council meeting to again defend herself from this house sale that they're trying to force through. And what are these people so afraid of, you know? She's saying, open the books and I'll give you the money. Open the books and I'll give you the money. They don't open the books. They just want the money. Alright? Which kind of is a bit suspicious. You know? No, we just want your money. Well, what are you doing with it? Never mind. Alright, that's essentially what's going on here. It's a shakedown. It's a standover. It's not, strictly legal what they're doing. I mean, in her case, let's say she was disputing and refusing to pay her rates and what have you. There's still another process that needed to be followed before the forced sale of a home, which is supposed to be the absolute last resort, but they've gone to the forced sale of the home as a second resort. And this kind of not following the process sort of thing speaks to the vindictive nature and how they've been basically torturing this woman, more or less, for 10 years. But she's been fighting them and exposing them and going to the council meetings and protesting all the time and sending official Information Act requests. The wonders never cease in the life of Penny Bright. She's everywhere, she's nowhere. And what's been happening recently is kind of like everything coming to a head. You know, it's like 12 years down the track. And I think, when I met Penny was like 2008. And covering 10 years of her protest actions and things of that nature. Had a thought the other day, what happens when I Google Penny Bright on my own unlisted video, on my own videos page, and voila, 101 videos. You know, one for every Dalmatian. Like, bro, she's done so much in so many different fields that the mind consequently reels. In fact, I wanted to how to steal a whole city, Penny Bright, anti-TPPA march. Right, so Penny's taken a good stand against the TPPA. She helped in the investigations that went into the production of the John Key's Real Past exposed in the 6 minutes video. This one here. And that got my channel taken down. At the time I was the most subscribed YouTube news channel in New Zealand. It was during the 2014 election, and it got my channel taken down for 3 months. Came back on Guy Fawkes Day. So as everybody was letting off fireworks and celebrating and that kind of thing, my YouTube channel, my life's work, magically reappeared. Along with 101 Penny Bright videos. Well, maybe it wasn't 101 at that point. It was a couple of years ago. Anyway, here we are. Penny actually stood against John Key in the debate here. Now, as we go through this, you kind of start to realise something, that there's actually really a big track record of work going on here, of radio interviews, appearances outside big media events concerned with justice, like the John Banks corruption case with Kim.com and that kind of thing. Penny's there giving lessons and lectures and speaking at public engagements, protests, and both the left and the right. Penny doesn't care if you're on the left or the right. She only cares whether or not you're correct. Whether you follow the law, right? Whew, I feel very out of breath. I'm sorry, I'm very tired. Should be in bed a couple of hours ago. Gotta wait for this coffee to kick in. Penny Bright assaulted by Len Brown's supporter for exposing the Sky City casino. Just remember, there's a long track record of all sorts of different issues, because we sometimes need to take stock of how much work somebody has actually done over a long period of time. And you start to realise that this is actually quite important work after a fashion. You know, with the amount of teaching that you get to essentially give people when you're doing interviews, when you're shooting videos, that kind of thing. You're helping people to become aware of issues that they previously were unaware of. And this is an important part of activism like Penny's, is that she, as she would say, she blows the whistle, till her eyeballs would bleed. And make a big fuss. Now I wonder, I was thinking about this earlier today, what's the definition of a whistleblower? Let's Google that, shall we? Whistleblower definition. Spelled definition incorrectly. A person who informs on a person or organisation regarded as engaging in an unlawful or immoral activity. That is a whistleblower. It doesn't actually mean you even have to work for them. You essentially find the scumbaggery and or have it hoisted upon you, and you tell people about it. And you try to get these people brought to justice for their corrupt scumbaggery activities. Penny Bright, whistleblower, likes to be known as her warship. And it turns out, of course, that with this long track record behind Penny Bright, there will inevitably be stoushes in between the council heads and herself, because essentially they're all part, whether they are knowingly or unknowingly part of it, a very, very corrupt machine. And this incredibly corrupt machine is essentially adept at not only concealing itself from public view, but also basically not having to be accountable to any kind of laws. They wanted to set up a system inside the system that had their own rules that they could make up as they go along, so that the overarching rule of the country would basically sit with them in the broader governance sense. And essentially we've got a number of major corporate roundtable groups. One is called the New Zealand Initiative, one is called the Initiative for Auckland or something like that. I forget the names. They're written down somewhere. Penny could tell you them like that. And they've got 3 intersecting rings of conglomerations of major corporations, major banks, and telecommunications, chains, things and everything like that. The big red ticket kind of organisations that have these nice friendly names. And essentially what they are is advisory bribery groups. Okay, you're going to have it's a big club, and it's $10,000, I think, per year for membership into some of these groups. Okay? And it allows you to influence directly at the policy level what kind of legislation tumbles down towards the rest of society. Okay? It's called state capture. Influence directly at the policy level. So before any policy is announced, and usually before any policy is dreamed up, these people have had their meetings with everybody and have already got it all planned out anyway. And incidentally, the only reason why they can really conceal this from everybody is because if they had accurate bookkeeping, as the Public Records Act of 2005 mandates that they have, people would notice there's a lot of money missing. A lot of money in places that it shouldn't be. And a lot of money missing from places it should be. Right? That's what they're afraid of, I think, is a actual scandal. Right? Now, the media doesn't know all of these things. A lot of these people, for one reason or another, one of which being time, one of which being scumbaggery. There's many reasons why people don't tell you the whole truth. Maybe it's just that they don't know. Maybe it's just that they've been strong-armed. Or maybe it's this, that they're not stupid enough to say something that's so on the nose that they'll get fired because their boss will get an angry phone call from some corrupt guy who is implicated in the story that you're telling. That kind of thing. You know, no fault of their own, bro. No fault of their own. I mean, there isn't any need in a large portion of society to forcibly sell somebody's home out for the rates, right? So the fact that something is coming to this point, you got to wonder, how has it gotten to this? How has it gotten to this? Not paying rates since 2007, eh? What year is it? Oh, it's 2018. Yeah, that's a long time. I know, bro. How come they haven't got any to pay her rates? Yeah, well, it turns out she's deliberately not paying them. Well, why is that? Well, because she figured out that they're breaking the law. The whole council. Every time they charge someone for their rates, they're breaking the law. She didn't want to break the law too. So she said, no, I'm going to withhold my rates from you. And that's the kind of, what would you call it? Gusto. There are better words ferocity. To describe Penny Bright. Now let's see, again, at that Give a Little page, let's see if anything's happened. 14,918. 15,025, yeah, we've gone over the $15,000 mark, ladies and gentlemen. That's cool, man. Thank you very much, folks. I'm not sure if what I'm doing is actually contributing, but I live in hope. Could you please, ladies and gentlemen, copy the link of this video cast and go to some Facebook groups and paste it down there, please. That'd be really, really lovely. Even the Vinny Eastwood show groups. I haven't had the time to share this video cast across all the different platforms and things like that, and I do need a little bit of your help on this one, folks. Just share the link to one group, and just thank you very much for doing so, just to let people know that this is going on, possibly until midnight, if I can stay awake or catch my breath under the fluorescent lighting, ladies and gentlemen. By the way, energy saver light bulbs, not a good thing. I have an energy saver light bulb that is this big right there above me right now, ladies and gentlemen, and it's been on, I think maybe 30 minutes on Penny's page, and now I'm up to 1 hour 52 on this page. So I think after 2 hours I'm going to call it, and then I'm going to shift it to YouTube, and we'll pick it up from there. Also did want to hear back from Penny to see if there was any movement on the radio. Facebook and the mobile phone ring on, might be able to do Facebook at the same time. No, I'm waiting before I get online. I've spoken to Talkback Queen Sue Henry recommends Richard Green Radio Live at 8:20 PM. How's that work for you, Vinny? Yep. Are you on hold? So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. We're producing live. Meanwhile, while we do this, I'm just going to play for you a little video here.
Myth and legend is that somehow the super city's all Rodney Hyde's fault.
You said the initiative was from central government.
No, I said the initiative was from business. From business. Big business. They are the ones that put the pressure on. And what happened was, as someone who literally opposed the super city from day one, after getting an immediate tip-off, myself and my friend Lisa Prager and other community, we gate crashed immediately at Auckland Town Hall. And what happened was, it was the Auckland Mayoral Forum, which is not a creature of statute, it's just an arbitrary made-up group, and the four then city council mayors were trying to act against the ARC, might be in the ARC, to get rid of the Auckland Regional Council in order to help push for the super city. And Lisa and we disrupted the meeting and basically said, you have no lawful right to do this.
North Shore, the lifestyle that's perfect at around a quarter of the price you could expect to pay in Auckland. Welcome to the neighbourhood, Richmond Villas Lifestyle Village Thames, for the 55 plus. New apartments have been standard in this.
Don't you hate the overarching loudness?
Because at that stage, under the Local Government Act Section 24, there was a proper process for any amalgamation procedure, and it was supposed to be a binding poll of citizens to decide on whether or not they wanted amalgamation. And so they're trying to railroad it through. What happened was, I petitioned Parliament. Peter Sharples presented the petition calling for there to be no rushing through of any amalgamation process until the public had been properly consulted. So I think, and what happened was the Greens and the Māori Party refused to support Labour in railroading it through. What then happened was it got slowed down for 18 months where we went through this Royal Commission, where the Royal Commissioners were appointed by Labour, which included David Shan, ex-World Bank, ex-IMF, God knows what. But the reality was that the most important recommendation that came out of the Royal Commission was the council-controlled organisational model, whereby millions of dollars of rates would go to these council-controlled organisations, which had never been subject to any form of cost-benefit analysis. I've done work here no one else has done, but the reality was that council-controlled organisations, CCOs, had never been subject to any cost-benefit analysis by the Office of the Auditor General, Department of Internal Affairs, by any of the 8 previous councils, and most alarming, Treasury. And I have got the letterheads and the letters of those organisations which will confirm that. So the concept that you would put 75% of the Auckland Regional Citizens and Ratepayers money into an untested model is pretty unbelievable, but that's exactly what happened. The council-controlled organisational model was the organisational mechanism for this corporate coup that happened. That's the reality of it. And when Rodney Hyde, as the Minister of Local Government, appointed the now deceased Mark Ford to head the Auckland Transition Agency, there's gate crashed that meeting as well, 2 of us, and there's a quite famous photo of me with just a little cloth banner, which had taken about 5 minutes to make.
Decades later, and they had quite a hit with it too. More of a raunchy version than that particular original one.
Let's see, where is that live thing?
Well, how would you fancy a $100 countdown voucher? In fact, I went shopping there tonight in Christchurch. It was flat tack. Goodness me, it was flat tack. Actually, I'm just having a look. It's a warm night tonight in Christchurch. Anyway, 18 degrees. Don't know how it is where you are in your part of the country, but this week, and we had hail last week, and this week we've been in the low to mid 20s. It must be autumn. Everything has been thrown at us. Okay, well, a $100 countdown voucher could be yours if you haven't been part of the flash reaction poll on a Friday night before. This is how it works. All I'm after is a simple yes or no. If you want to have a bit of a yarn, you can do so. But the first question tonight, so I pose a couple of questions and we just get a bit of an understanding, a bit of an idea.
I think we're a bit too late on this one, folks. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. I didn't get the Facebook message there, and oh goodness, so tired. Trying to help out. All right, that means we have only just a minute to wrap this up, folks. Thank you very much for watching, and make sure you click on that give a little link, and once this little show is up, you could probably share the link of it with other people and get them to donate and also listen to the broadcast and understand, that it's a complex issue with a lot of facets and a lot of wide reach, and it's rather important for us, just in general, to support people like Penny Bright, who in many ways are they're the white blood cells of society, more or less. They find the viruses, they find the dirty stuff, and they clean that stuff out, mate. And sometimes they need a little bit of nutrients, and in this case, the nutrients being cash. Like the give a little page over here got over 15,000 tonight. That's a lot of money that's been raised. I'm just going to refresh it one more time, and then we got a little bit extra donated now. So hour and a half until midnight, and that's how long it's going to last. So I'm going to be transferring this to YouTube though, so if you're on Facebook right now and you want to continue watching, I'll be posting the YouTube link on my homepage. Or in fact, I might just go to bed, man. I think I've done enough. I did half an hour on Penny's page and 2 hours on my page, and I spent pretty much all day sharing around Facebook links, making sure that that stuff was out there. Last 24 hours I worked really my ass off to get Penny what she needed. Will it be enough? I don't know, folks. I guess it's up to you. So thank you very much for watching, and if you want to support me and my work, the Vinny Eastwood Show.com is where you can find all my stuff. That was from the what was it called? From the video I did on Penny's thing. I found a way to embed from Facebook pages. I thought I'd just give it a quick go, so I'll be removing that soon. So if you're a New Zealander, I'm always working to support different activism in many colourful forms. So have been doing it for nearly 10 years. So if you want to start up an automatic payment, a couple of bucks every week, a couple of bucks a month into the Kiwi Bank for Guerrilla Media there. Absolutely beautiful, man. I really appreciate all those. It's funnily enough, I appreciate the very small donations. Like I remember one guy at one point, he was donating 50 cents a week because that was all he could actually afford, and it's like, wow. Think about it. For somebody who really got nothing, 50 cents is a lot. And it's like a sacrifice, right? It's, you know. And then you get the $500 ones that come out of nowhere, and you're like, wow, man. I'm glad that the work that I do means something to people, and it's helped a lot of people reach a wider audience for themselves through using this show and this platform, that kind of thing, and that's why I do it. Not really for myself. So if you believe in selfless sacrifice, donate to me. Because in so doing, you causally benefit a whole bunch of people from all different eclectic walks of life. People that, you know, normally don't get the airtime that they deserve. People like Penny Bright and many others. So yeah, I want to thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in. It's been a little 2-hour live cast, and for those of you who've only just joined us, I guess you can, I don't know, start rewatching it from the start, I guess. And there's also the other video on the Penny Bright page, so just search Penny Bright in Pages on Facebook, and you can watch that one too as a lead-in to this little 2-hour excursion. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Donate to this Give a Little page here. The link is in the description. Good night, everybody.